Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you for listening. Please subscribe and click on that thumbs up button. Well, our Pistons are 5-2. An impressive win last night, 114-106 over the Memphis Grizzlies. Cade and Stu put on a show. They were incredible last night, and I'm just going to tell you, there's so much parity in the league. So many teams are beating each other, and it looks like it's going to be a crazy season, and I think teams are going to have good winning streaks and losing streaks, and they always do, but I think this is going to be crazier, where there's going to be a whole bunch of teams, even in both conferences, that are all bunched in the middle with close records, and it's not always going to make sense. Everybody always thinks, well, we should win this game. We should win this game. I hear Piston fans and podcasters say that, oh yeah, we should be 4-0 after this week. But there's, on any given night, and tonight was another example, we could have lost this game tonight. We had a 20-point lead late in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden the Jazz go on a 12-0 run. They got that 21-point lead. A good part of it was with Cade on the bench. I mean, I don't know if they were up by like 13, and then they increased the lead, and then Cade stayed on the bench, and then again the last 3 minutes or so they went on a 12-0 run. So it was close game, and with 3 minutes left, it was 103-100, and Cade Cunningham had 5 fouls. So any play he could have all of a sudden been out of the game, but he just was incredible. He made some huge plays in the fourth quarter. He scored 19 points in the fourth quarter. He was like 7 for 12 shooting. He only took like 4 shots in the first half, but with a minute to go, he gets in the lane, does his patent step into a guy, fadeaway jumper about the free throw line. Next possession, he comes down and he does a jab step and steps back and hits a three right in the defender's face, and that put us up like 112-103, and that was the dagger. That was really where the game was finally ended. But yeah, Stu got to start. Tobias had an ankle injury, so he sat out, and I've been wanting him to JB to play Stu as the backup for some, and there he's showing it. I mean, him and Stu and Duran last night both played 34 minutes. And then we also have the backup. So we have B-Ball Paul, and he only played in 5 minutes. But so we don't have to just play those two that many minutes. But it was still really cool. Stu got to really show what he could do, and it was fun to watch him. He was just incredible. Cade had 33 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, only 3 turnovers. His turnovers have been way down the last 3 games. His average has been about 30 a game, and he's averaged like about 1 turnover a game. And so lots of great signs from him, but Stu was 26 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, 1 turnover. That is a big time game, and that just shows us we have more versatility. That's another thing that he can keep on improving. He's shown that he's going to keep on improving. One thing, and I'm not going to make this a big thing. I mean, lots of hate for Troy Weaver, and understandably so. And he didn't hire Monty, though. That was not Troy's decision. But he always says I draft the players first, and then the person first, and then the player second. Well, John Morant is a great example of that. So was suspended the game before we played him. He played last night, was a miserable 5 for 16 and 5 turnovers, and 0 for 4 on threes. Nobody has to guard him. He can't shoot outside. But he played the Lakers 2 games ago, and he's got a new coach. They got a new coach. He's one of the best coaches in Europe, and his philosophy is if somebody's not doing something right, instead of tiptoeing around them like people do with especially NBA stars, he is just going to be blunt. He's just going to tell them what he thinks. And evidently at halftime of the Lakers game, in front of the team, he told him what he thought. Well, Ja didn't like it. Ja's obviously got emotional issues. He's been suspended throughout his career and done many things that were very unwise, but he pouted the rest of the second half. He pouted the second half, didn't play, didn't hardly try. I don't know why they didn't take him out, and they interviewed him after the game, and every time they asked him a question, he said, well, just ask the coaches why. just ask the coaches. He was just throwing it back on the coaches. His feelings were hurt. And you can have your feelings hurt and you can be upset, but you don't act like a baby and you have to come back for your team. And so anyway, it's just going to be interesting because he is one of the most gifted players that's ever played the game. Athletically, he can fly so high and he's so much fun to watch. Some of the most incredible plays I've seen in my life where Morant plays. But you just don't draft. Here's another example. I've said, Jalen Green, he has all the talent in the world, but he's not a winning player. LaMelo Ball, another example. I mean, they're not quite as crazy as Ja, but they're not winning players. They take ill-advised shots. They're all about themselves. They're not good passers. When LaMelo could be a great passer, but he just does do goofy things. Don't play tough on defense like our Cade Cunningham. So anyway, and JB last night played a 9-man rotation. Got to play everybody, and that included Paul Reed's 5 minutes he played him. So we really played 8 guys last night. And so everybody got to play significant time. Everybody contributed, but our team is rolling. We destroyed them 58-30 points in the paint. And it's weird. They out-rebounded us by 2. But, yeah, we had no Tobias. Hopefully he gets better soon. But we still have found that we have another player that can really step into play. But, yeah, I just want to reiterate that Troy Weaver drafted Stu and Duren. And nobody saw Stu getting drafted at that spot. Nobody saw Duren getting drafted at that spot. And they're they're showing to be out 2 really great post players. And we know Troy loves post players, but still, those are 2 good guys. Those are 2 tough guys, 2 guys that work hard, 2 guys that care. And they have been dominant lately. And, the game before this, Duren playing, he had his career high 33 points, and he's just making all of his free throws, so he was remarkable, and he just keeps on getting better. So yeah, he was 13 for 16 in that 33-point game, and 7 for 8 from the line. Last night he didn't do quite as well, but he still contributed to the win, and they're a dynamic duo. And everybody, how many podcasts that we heard that you can't play those 2 guys together? You can't play those 2 guys together. Well, and a lot of it is Stu's going to shoot the 3. Last night he wasn't good. He was 2 for 8 on threes, and when he gets them, his man's not even near him. His man is all the way in the lane, all the way in the paint when Stu catches the ball out at the 3-point line. But I have faith in his shot. I think it's going to be good. But yeah, the league is crazy. The league, all these teams are within like a game of each other, and there's like 7 teams in the East that all have either 4 wins or 3 wins. And there's been a lot of surprises. A lot of teams that we thought were going to do better have done worse. A lot of teams, the Sixers are a surprise at 5-1, and then the Bulls are a surprise at 5-1. The Bucks have been a surprise. They're 5-2. Giannis hit a tough 3 last night. Fadeaway jumper behind the free throw line, contested to win the game for the Bucks last night. So they're looking better, and they've got some new guys that are coming in and playing better. Our Pistons are 5-2. The Heat have been a surprise. They're 4-3. They've lost a couple close ones. They have a new offense. They're all of a sudden transformed into this high-scoring team, so they can beat anybody on any given night. The Knicks are a disappointing 4-3, and they've had some struggles. The Raptors are 3-4. They've had some good games and look really good at times. And then there's teams, the Nets are 0-7. So we play them on Friday, so that should be. When I said people shouldn't count teams as a win, but if there was one, that's one that you would think that. The Wizards are 1-6, the Pelicans are 0-6, so they're bad. The poor Pacers, and I don't like the Pacers, but they have had terrible luck from losing Halliburton, but Nemhart's been hurt, Obi Toppin got hurt. I don't know who else is all even getting to play on their team, but they are really banged up, and so they lost some close games, even though they don't have many players left. Neesmith's been playing tough, but yeah, the league's wide open. Anybody can win on any given night, and we play Wednesday. We got the Jazz, and all this talk has been not just about Piston fans and not just about Piston bloggers or podcasters. These are all the national broadcasters and podcasters think that the Pistons are the logical choice, and Detroit's the logical team to trade for Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen is averaging 31 a game, shooting 48% and 37% on threes, and he's only 28 years old. And yeah, I don't know what we'd have to give up, but he has been incredible this year, and he had a 51-point game this year so far. And so yeah, he's 7'1", and he could shoot the three, and he could take it to the basket. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but we'll get a chance to watch him. And you really don't want Stu Garden, the other team's best player, like that. But I think he's the logical matchup for him. And otherwise, if Tobias plays, I'm sure Tobias will start out on him. But Stu's such a great help side defender, and so nobody gets to the rim. That rim, he's got his hand over that cylinder, so nobody's going to just get an easy putback on the rim. So yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens on Wednesday. That we should win that game, but the Jazz have beaten some good teams. They have surprised some good teams. The Jazz last night, they beat the Celtics, and so the Celtics had lost 3 in a row after we had beaten them. And then they won 3 in a row, and they looked really good. And then they lost last night to the Jazz, which 105-103, that you would have thought they should have won. That's just another example about how things go. And yeah, the Magic are 3 and 4. Everybody thought they'd be better, but they've won, at least a couple in a row. So we're gonna go over the game last night. Asar played 27 minutes only. I always like seeing him play 30, but 27 is almost 30. So he scored 9 points, but he was 4 for 7, 0 for 1 on threes, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers. But the big thing is he was 1 for 6 on free throws. He needs more arc on his shot. It's not ever going to be consistent, but still a lot of guys, even like Cade, free throw shooting is mental. I mean, Cade's a 90% shooter or high 80s his whole career, and he's just been missing like crazy. He was 6 for 10 last night, and he always has the ball in his hands. It hurts. Asar is going to drive to the basket, and Asar draws fouls. Asar draws fouls better than Cade does, and yet it hurts you when you drive to the basket, get 2 shots, and can't make them. So again, Stu was 9 for 18, 2 for 6, 6 for 6 from the line. Those 14 big rebounds. Like I said, 4 assists, 4 blocks, only 1 turnover with all that usage. Career high 26 points. So go Stu. During 34 minutes, 5 for 11, 4 for 4 on free throws, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 14 points. Duncan, not a great game, but I'm telling you, JB believes in him. JB plays him. He played 40 minutes last night. He played more minutes than anybody on the team. Cade was close. Cade played 39. Duncan played 40. 4 for 10, 3 for 9 on threes. We need him to go 4 for 9 on threes. That's the tough thing about being a three-point shooter. If you're 3 for 9, you're not very good, but if you're 4 for 9, you're really good. So he's got to do a little bit better, but he's out there. He's not been getting blown by as much. He did have 4 rebounds and 11 points. Cade was 12 for 20. Like I said, I think he took 4 shots in the first half. He hardly shot. He does that in a lot of games this year. But his fourth quarter scoring has been really high. Last year it was really bad. A lot of the games that we lost, he was great throughout the game. And then the fourth quarter, he would not do so well. But he was unbelievable last night in the fourth quarter. Not just those 2 shots, but he scored, like I say, he scored 12 points. But 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 block, and only 3 turnovers. He was plus 12. Duran was plus 13. Those were the 2 highest. But my guy, Karis LeVert, I'm not a big fan of his. I heard that he had done better. I didn't watch it the past year because when I watched him with Cleveland, I didn't like him because he took bad shots. He took fadeaway 17-foot jumpers like he was Michael Jordan, and he's not Michael Jordan. He was inefficient, and he still took some, but he did a great play. I think he poked the ball away. He did a full-out dive on the floor, great hustle, flipped the ball somehow up the court to, I think, Holland for a dunk. That was maybe my favorite play of the night. And so, he he's trying, but he's 2 for 4, 0 for 2 on threes, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, only 4 points in 20 minutes. So he's not been the guy we hoped he would be. Holland played 20 minutes, 5 for 8, 1 for 2 on threes, 3 for 3 on free throws, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 14 points. He had quite a bit of fouls again. But here's my guy. He's looked better lately. The last couple games, Javonte Green, and he played 21 minutes. So again, JB loves him, but he's 1 for 4, 1 for 3 on threes, 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 points, minus 13. Nobody else on our team was minus, and he's minus 13. So I don't know. I would hope, like, when Ivy comes back or whatever, that, and Tobias is playing, that he doesn't have to play too much. I think he's a good guy. If people are hurt, but I think that he's not going to be consistent. B-Ball Paul only played 5 minutes, so that was too bad. He had 2 steals, but he didn't get to play very much. So we had 9 blocks and 11 steals last night, so that's pretty good. We shot 51%, 32% on threes. We made 10 threes, which isn't good. 32% is not good, but I guess better than some of our games. But we can't be 20 for 29 on free throws, 69%. Our free throw percentage has to get better, and if Cade shoots what he can, then I think that'll be improved. It's great. Cade is getting to the free throw line more this year, for sure, and so I'm anticipating that's going to continue. Cautiously optimistic that he's going to continue with that. So, but we had 18 offensive rebounds. And that's really good. No. They had 18 offensive rebounds, so that's really bad. We only had 10 offensive rebounds. So part of the problem was they shot a lot of long shots that jumped off the rim and kicked way out. And that is, I'm not trying to make excuses for them. That is hard to rebound when that ball kicks way out. So, well, the guy that a lot of us wanted, and I just like to point out these things. And I can point out guys, I have proof on tape. I don't shout out a whole bunch of guys that I say I don't want, like everybody in the league. But I wanted Jake LaRavia, and he had a 26-point game. Not 26. He had a 13-point game last night, but he's shooting. He had a 25-point game against the Heat. He had a 27-point game where he was 10 for 11, and he's like 6'8", 6'9", and he plays defense. He can pass the ball, and they signed him for $8 million. And we could have offered him more than what the Lakers could have offered him. And we needed a backup power forward. And I guess, we knew that Stu could do it. So I don't know. But I like him. Just like I know I said Quentin Grimes, I liked him. He's had like 26 and 8 assists and 6 rebounds the other day. And he made a game winner. And he's playing really good he took the qualifying offer. Not very much money this year, but yeah. Anyway, we don't need to talk too much about other teams' players, but like I said, we play the Jazz Wednesday. Get to see Lauri Markkanen. We play on Friday, I think, against the Nets. So that's, like I said, a pretty winnable game. But yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. Our team's 5-2. Like I said, every win's a big win. But I appreciate all of you listening. Please tell a friend and tell them to watch this podcast if you can, and be the reason that somebody feels listened to, and go Pistons.